Welcome back to the podcast, guys. Today we are joined by Tom Emery, who is the founder at HEX Talent and Development. So welcome to the podcast, Tom. Why don't you just start by telling us a bit about yourself and what you guys do?
Yeah, it's great to be here, Jordan. Thank you for the invitation to appear. So I'm Tom Emery. I am a people performance consultant. So my work really is focused around helping people, teams, and organizations to reach their full potential. And we do that through a mixture of leadership development, so both leadership development programs and individual work. So we work on an individual one-to-one basis through coaching, but we try and take a slightly different approach to coaching. We call it beyond coaching, which I can talk a little bit about in the podcast if you're interested in hearing. We do some team effectiveness work. So we coach teams to be more impactful together, often teams that are struggling with each other, maybe struggling with relationships. And then we also do a bit of broader HR consultancy work. So HEX, my business, was formed just over 3 years ago when I came out of my corporate career, which I spent about 20 years working in human resources management and did that across lots of different industries, but most of it was in financial services. So I worked for a big global bank for quite a long time. And then I was chief people officer at a wealth management firm in the City of London. So that's me.
Okay, cool. And so have you sort of gravitated towards that under HEX as well? Like, is that sort of the ICP that you guys serve the best, or is it pretty broad?
Well, from an industry perspective, we're pretty broad. I would say that, this sort of business is a relationship business. So I'm not, we don't have lots of people coming to us cold and saying, oh, we've seen what HEX does. We want to invite you to do a load of coaching or a load of leadership development work. Because it's very relationship focused, and a lot of my relationships and the relationships of the associates that work in HEX are financial services. We do have quite a lot of our work from financial services, but we also do some stuff in professional services. We've worked in aviation, we work in hospitality, we've worked in digital marketing. So lots of different industries that we get to. People are people wherever you go.
Yeah, that's a good point. Okay, so then for the people that are listening, you mentioned a big part of what you do is around leadership and teams. What sorts of things do you think you have picked up over your multiple decades in this space that people can maybe apply straight away, or maybe some mistakes that they make all the time and they assume something, but it's actually another thing when you come in and you teach and you coach?
Well, I mean, I love what you talk about there, assumptions. Assumptions are probably, I think, the most dangerous thing that people have when it comes to the world of work. A big part of what we do is help people with relationships.
Mm-hmm.
And we try and, turn quite complex business stuff into something human. And often that comes down to, what are my assumptions in any one situation? Like, what am I curious about finding out that might challenge some of those assumptions? And what's my agency to make some change? So, quite often we will make very, very quick snap judgments on what we think somebody else's intention is, for example, coming into a situation. And because of that assumption that we make, it causes us to approach it in a certain way. Often that means that emotions get heightened, people bang into each other, and, we don't have good conversations, or, we don't have effective challenge, or we're not able to bring our full sort of creativity to situations. So I think that just how you approach your work and how you do it with intention, it's just a massive thing, and it's a pitfall that we all probably fall into, and it's something that is so easy to change. So we work a lot with people on like their agency as leaders and their agency as executives as they work in their businesses and in their industries.
I love that. And also, Tom, you're an author, right? So in your book, People, you talk about the CHRO Impact Framework. So four personas that HR leaders need to embody. Can you break that down for us a little bit? And what are those four personas?
Yeah. So I wrote the book because when I was first a chief people officer, I was really, or a chief HR officer, I use the term interchangeably. I was really feeling my way in the dark, I suppose. Didn't really think there was much out there that was available to help me to navigate the role and to be effective. So I wrote the book to get my message out to as many HR leaders as I could. And the framework has a core mindset, which is to be purposeful and always learning. And then it has 4 skills and 4 personas, as you say. So the 4 skills are really about what you have to do, and the 4 personas are about who you have to be. So the four skills are to be a commercial explorer, which is basically to understand the commercials of your business, which is something that HR leaders often neglect. To be an expert in your fields, that's right, really knowing your profession as an HR professional. It's being a great leader of HR, building and maintaining, developing an absolutely top class HR team. And then the other is being a performance and culture catalyst, which is really the bread and butter about, a great people strategy that is absolutely aligned to your business strategy and creating a really high performing, ecologically safe culture. The four personas sort of fit in within those four skills. So you've got two which are based around the talent of the organization. So a business talent enabler and an HR talent enabler. And that's really looking within the team and outside the team about getting the right skills and developing the right people in your organization, because your people are your leverage, your greatest asset usually. And then the other two are to be an enterprise leader and a trusted partner. The enterprise leader is like, how do you, as an HR leader, not only just impact the people agenda, but you impact the whole business, and you're like a figurehead and real driver of performance in your organization. And then the trusted partner is, I think, probably one of the most important areas, which is like, how are you lifting other people up? How are you maintaining relationships? How are you maintaining boundaries so that you're spending your time, your energy in the right places? And even though I wrote it for HR people, there's a lot of just broader leadership lessons. Obviously, that answer that I've just given to that question and the answer that I gave to the previous question are very linked. Lots of stuff around agency, intention, relationships. So yeah, that's it's been pretty successful. It's been out for about a year now. We're just about to do another big publicity push on it, starting next month, to see if we can sweat it a little bit more and get it out, get the message out to a few more people. But yeah, it's been pretty successful and lots of good feedback.
I love that. I also find every time I speak to an author, they're so articulate. So I appreciate you coming on and and saying all those wonderful things. All right. Now, AI is like reshaping basically every industry right now. So how are you thinking about AI in the context of people development and coaching? Is it something
Mm.
that you're incorporating into HEX, or is it more of a threat maybe to traditional coaching models?
Well, I think there's several ways of looking at it. I mean, if you look at AI in the work that I do I use AI a lot? Yes, I do, because AI provides you often with that way of, unblocking like your thoughts on something to just sort of give you a starting point to think about like some new thought leadership or some new insight. Lots of people are using AI to support them with coaching and things. So yes, there's definitely a threat there. I also think that for a lot of people, the idea of being coached effectively by AI is a little bit of a step too far for their brain to actually compute. And having somebody real and having a real person is something that's going to be something that people still value. And I think when I think about the work that we do, we really push the human connection that our work gives people. So, when I'm sitting in, for example, say a 1 day beyond coaching session with a senior executive, I'm going to take that far beyond what AI could ever take it, because I'm in the room with that person. We have a human connection, and I'm able to pick up on much more than probably AI is going to be able to pick up on anytime soon. So, I'm able to provide something different, I think, than what AI would provide. And also with Beyond Coaching, we don't stick to pure coaching. We bring in our own experience as executives, and we provide a real thinking partnership as much as anything, and we pick up on you know really sort of very intricate nuances, I think, of what's going on for individual leaders.
Yeah, that's a good point. And something to add to that, I spoke to a chap the other day who charges a lot of money for consulting, I guess. And he said that AI is great, but it cannot provide you with certainty. So if you're sitting in a room with somebody who has been there, done that, and they have decades of experience, they can tell you almost 100% of the time what the problem is and how to fix it with so much certainty that you go, ah, okay, that's what we need to focus on. And in
Mm,
fact, he was saying that a lot of the time people pay them $100,000 to sit in a room and just tell them what they already know to be true, but to just reaffirm that that is in fact the thing they should be focusing on and give them that certainty. So
yeah.
yeah, I don't think AI is replacing anybody anywhere anytime soon with that.
And I think that's a great point. And Actually, when you train to be a coach, you're very much taught to be quite aware of those sorts of situations where, as the coach, you have the answer, but it's your answer. It's not the answer of the individual. So there is a skill in that, and that's where we go with Beyond Coaching. That we don't hold back on offering our opinions when we see an executive that needs an answer. But we're always very, very careful to be clear that that's our answer and not the individual's answer. And it comes from our perspective, which is different. And
Mm,
they know the situation and the scenario and the context in much more detail than we do. So we always have to be aware of that. There is a risk there, I think. But yeah, you'd never get that from, well, you certainly don't get that from AI at the moment. I mean, I'm not to say you wouldn't get it in the future. I mean, who knows what AI will be able to achieve. I think the
yes.
other thing that we focus on quite a lot with AI is, people in businesses, and particularly people who are leading people functions, they're terrified of AI, and they're terrified of not understanding it or what it's going to do to their business or where it's going to take their own role. And I think what we always try and do with anything, whether it's business strategy, whether it's change, whether it's AI, we try and make complex things human, and we try and take it back to the basic needs of human beings,
Mm.
which is essentially what I think we're trying to do with everything that we do with business. There's always a human impact of it, and we always try and bring it back to the human, and that's our expertise. And we don't think that AI will replace that anytime soon.
Yeah, I agree. Okay, Tom, coming back to some of the things that you talked about earlier, you mentioned that you have historically worked with financial services in the past, but it's pretty broad, the
Yeah.
types of businesses that you work with. How are these people finding you? Like, how are you going about acquiring these clients? Are you mostly referral based? Are you at events? Like, what does that look like?
Yeah. So the majority of it is referral based, or certainly it has been over the
Hmm.
past 3 or so years since I started the business. But that is starting to change now.
Hmm.
And the change is being driven from basically very, very consistent habits and rituals that we've had in place in the business now for a long time. And that has been things like we are very visible on platforms like LinkedIn, Instagram, TikTok. We don't get, it's not like, Jordan, you see us on LinkedIn and you think, oh, these guys look great. I'll go and ask them to, for 100 grand of leadership development. That's not how it works. It's like we build a presence over time. So, the stuff that the business that we're now getting through from new clients is 3 years in the making, because they've seen us posting week in, week out. They've seen me hosting a podcast. They've seen me writing a book. They've seen everything that we've shared in terms of our insights, our thought leadership. They've seen the events that I've spoken at. They've been to breakfast that we've run and all that sort of stuff. So, we build relationships over time, and it does take time, and that's the biggest challenge I think for a business like ours, is that you've got to put the work in to create the relationships, and we want to go deep in those relationships because we want to be able to help as many people as we can in the deepest way, and we also want to be able to leverage those relationships so that they're lucrative for us as well.
Yeah, for sure. And there's no shortcuts to that, which is the good and the bad thing.
Absolutely.
So then, Tom, if you had a magic wand and you could wave it over one big problem right now and you could solve it just like that, what would that big problem be?
For the business or for the
Yeah,
organizations that I work with?
for the business.
For the business? I mean, I think it would just be audience. It would just be, really scaling the audience that we have for our insights
Mm,
as quickly as we can. So, we build a LinkedIn following by, we have like an automated connection tool on LinkedIn. So we connect to an additional 200 or 300 people each month, and we build our audience like that. We run free webinars, and, obviously we register people for free webinars, and we build our audience that way as well. But, I would love to have an audience of 50,000 people on LinkedIn and on Instagram that were seeing my stuff day in, day out. If I could wave a magic wand and have that, then it would make a big difference to us, because we'd just be getting our message out to so many more people, and people talk, and they talk about the things that they see, and so yeah, the multiplier would just multiply so much more quickly, I think, if we could do that.
yeah. Yeah. I often hear that answer. Basically more top of the funnel. It means that you've got a fantastic product, and the more people who you can put it in front of, the more business you get, the more impact you can have, right?
Yeah. And I mean, over the years, it's interesting, like for a business owner, how your psyche evolves and your confidence evolves around getting your message out there.
Mm,
So, if you'd said to me 3 years ago that I would be the type of person that would be posting content across social media platforms 3 or 4 times a week, I'd have said, no chance, that's not me. It just would have felt really like ick. Whereas actually, you get used to it and you keep doing it, and then you get more confident, and actually you get more confident about your message because you get feedback on your message, which is positive, and you start to therefore get more creative about what you talk about and the insights that you give. And I think it's just like a virtuous cycle of, you build more confidence, you share more stuff, so you build more confidence, and then you share more stuff, and yeah, things just start to multiply. And we've seen the business grow really quickly, much quicker than we thought it ever would do. And I think that's because we've been quite brave with just pushing stuff out and getting out there.
yeah. And I often find that you mentioned this confidence, and I find that having a extremely compelling offer builds that confidence because you feel like you have this moral obligation to bring it to the world. And I think that sometimes that's like a key to unlocking and getting rid of all this limiting belief stuff, and then you start unlocking the content and the outreach and the events and all the things that you know that you should be doing to grow the business. So that's something that I found to sort of unlock everything.
Yeah, and I think linked to that, it's like, what are you doing this for? And if you're doing it to make money, obviously making money is important. But I think there has to be something a bit higher than making money, and then there has to be like like, we want to help as many people as we can reach their full potential. I know it sounds a bit cheesy, but it's true, and that's what drives me. Like, I don't want to make millions and millions. Just I'm not interested in that. That doesn't get me out of bed in the morning. But getting a message out to as many people out there, and helping as many people as we can, that's what really drives me. And obviously, if I make a few quid on the way, then that's all good as well.
Yeah, brilliant. And so, Tom, if people are listening and, just sort of as we're wrapping up here and they maybe want to like check out what you guys are doing or they want to reach out or even check out the book, where can they go and how can they connect?
So if they go to the HEX website, which is hex-development.com, all our contact details are on there, and people can request a free book, which we'll just send through the post for them. We struggle to send internationally, I'm afraid, so it's UK only, but you can buy the book across the world just through our favorite book, through your favorite bookseller. It's everywhere. And I'm Tom Emery on LinkedIn. Like, feel free to link in with me, drop me a line, give us some feedback, ask me a question. Always really happy to hear from people.
Well, thanks for coming on and sharing some of your insights today. I'll leave everything linked in the description and definitely go check out Tom and what they do, what the guys are doing at HEX. Thank you guys very much for watching. We'll see you in the next one.
Thanks, Jordan.